Hello, everyone. This is Andrea Bullard. Welcome to the webinar where I'm going to talk about 3 tragic mistakes you can make if you want to build your wealth management practice to scale. So here's the first thing I'm going to ask you, that if you're sitting at your desk, close up your emails, take your iPhone, put it away. I want you just to relax and think about, how can this apply to me? What am I doing now? Or what are my plans for the future that could actually derail me? So I've been coaching financial advisors and reps for over 20 years, and it's through my experience of helping them scale, I realized some of the mistakes they made. So let's start our game today. I'm going to now share with you a PowerPoint. So I want to begin with the dream, because I know that many of you have a big dream and it all starts there. So everyone close their eyes and start imagining. And this is my dream for all of you. Imagine if you wake up every morning and you're living in your dream house, whatever that might be. It might be a cabin in the woods. It could be a penthouse in Manhattan. So just close your eyes and imagine, what would that dream house be? And you wake up in it and it's just perfect. You get dressed, you're having breakfast, a perfect breakfast, and now you're ready to go to work. You walk outside your house and there's your limo. Yes, limo, and you own this limo. You walk in, you love the limo driver drives to work. You go into your office, and again, it is your dream office. Now, when you walk in there, every person working for you is brilliant, bright, licensed, smart. You go into a first meeting, you're not leading the meeting, your team is leading the meeting. Your meeting's all ready for the day, they're prepped. You answer some of their questions and you walk out and get in your limo. You go to your first meeting. And in your first meeting, you're meeting a prospect and one of your team members is there. So you open up a case, you're done with the meeting, your team member does the case notes, they start processing everything, you hop back in your limo. That day, you actually have 4 meetings. And by the time you get back to your office, it's 3 in the afternoon. By 3 in the afternoon, case notes are done, everything's processed, you're not worried about anything. You answer a few questions, and now you can do whatever you want to do. You can go exercise, you can go golfing, whatever you want to do, you're done for the day. Open your eyes. Can you imagine that life? That's what we're going to talk about today. How you can actually build that life. But let's talk about a few things and what gets in the way. But before we do this, for those of you that don't know me, I want to just tell you a little bit about my background and why my heart's in this, because I think that's going to matter to our conversation here. So I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, 5 kids, fabulous life. My whole passion's always been coaching, and it's always been sports. So I played Division I volleyball, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and loved it. That's a time that it wasn't fashionable for women to be in sports, but that's a whole different story. Went on to study under world-class and Olympic coaches, both the science and art of coaching. Went on to have a NASH-rated track team, 4 assistant coaches, 165 girls. Finished graduate school and went on to coach at the college level and teach at the college level. Now, I'm going to go back in the story to when I was a freshman in college. And when I was a freshman in college, I remember it was March, it was my second semester, and it was a dreary Sunday, and the phone rang. It was about 5 in the afternoon. And I picked up the phone. It was my brother, and he said, you have to come home. And I said, why? And he goes, it's Dad. I said, what happened? He said, he had a heart attack. And I said, how is he? And I still remember the silence. I said, he's dead. Now, what's important about this story that you'll all get, my father had a major heart attack at 45. So you know what that meant? He was uninsurable. So where this story becomes relevant to me here speaking to you, since I've been 18 years of age, I've never known what it's like to go back and have a family that financially supports you. I was on my own. You see, my father didn't have any life insurance. That's support 5 kids. So I understand in my core the importance of what you do. I understand that insuring families before something happens, how important it is, because I've lived the results of it not happening. So I actually believe in what you do, understand its importance. But there's a second part to the story I really want you to understand, and that is this. When I went home to the funeral, grown men were crying on my shoulder. I was only 18. They said, if it weren't for your dad, I wouldn't have my farm. If it weren't for your dad, I wouldn't have my business. I was like, oh my goodness. I realized that what my dad did on weekends and nights, he would go to that farmer instead of foreclosing on loans, because he was a loan officer in a bank. He met with that farmer and he did their business plan. He met with that business owner and helped people. In fact, the day we buried him, they closed the town down. Now, why does that matter to you? When I realized when I was 18, how one person makes a difference. By the way, the most he ever made in me of his life was $13,000. Imagine they closed the town down. A few years ago, I went with my kids. We're in a tavern, Wisconsin, and this man kept looking at me. Finally looked at me and said, are you Lester Kane's daughter? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, just a minute. And he went out and there was his wife. He said, are these your kids? I said, yeah. And he said to my children, he goes, if it weren't for your dad, we wouldn't have this tavern. And he went on about my father. You see, your life makes the difference. What you do makes the difference. And it's destiny that I'm here because at 18, I realized the importance of what you do and how one person makes a difference, that I'm here coaching you. So I just wanted to share my heart with you and my passion and my life's work. So let's move on now that you understand my mission with all of you, as I want you to reach more people. I want you to understand that your life matters and what difference you can make. So put that passion in your heart. But let's go back. And if you're going to have that dream of just seeing people, I want you to take notes as I walk through this and say, do I relate to this? What are the problems, or what are you currently doing other than seeing people? And I want you right now, get out, either type it in your computer, get out a notepad, and I want you to, what I go through today, write it down for yourself. So many of my clients will say, you know what, Andrea, I only want to see people, but I've got so many questions my clients call, I've got emails to answer. I have to do, because I'm the only person on the team that does complicated case prep, and I continuously have to delegate items to my staff. You relate to that? Write it down. You spend a great deal of time every day answering sophisticated questions from clients and your staff. Maybe some of you are spending hours with your home office. You spend hours every day gathering documents from prospects and clients. In fact, you're going crazy. Where are these documents? Then when you get them, you're last minute case prepping. And oh, by the way, you're the only person on the team who's gathering the documents. You're the only person on the team that can do the complicated case prep work and do that thinking. You're the key person on your team who can train new staff. In fact, you're the only one. You're responsible for filling your own calendar. You're responsible for scheduling appointments with referrals. In fact, you think you're the only one that can do this. You cannot hire and or keep great staff. You're frustrated. Like, how do these guys do it? What am I doing wrong? You need more and better referrals. I hear that every day. You want your staff to take ownership of the goals in business, but it doesn't seem to happen. They do their tasks and they leave at 5 o'clock. You're the only person on your team who can do investment case prep work. You're the only person on their team who can generate new clients. You're the only person on the team who's meeting with centers of influence. And you want to create a raving fans business with prospects lining up at the door to meet with you, but you have no idea how to accomplish that goal. And you cannot seem to lead your team to the next level. In fact, you're exhausted. Do you relate to any of this? Write it down. So let's look at one of the first mistakes that you're making, and that is this. You are thinking like a brand new advisor. In fact, new advisors that are on this, I want you to think, yes, you learned this business, you came in, you had to learn how to sell, you had to learn products, you were taught you had to call referrals, you had to clients, all this because it was your business. It was new, you were alone, you were solo. But to transition into building a business where you just see people, you have to think differently. It is not what I call the egocentric model. You now have to think like a businessman, and you have to vision, what am I building? In fact, here's a new question I want you to ask yourself. It's a vision question. Can I build this business and just see people? Now let that land for a second. Because let me tell you right now, you can. And that's the $1 million question you're going to start asking yourself as of today. Now, some of you are thinking, but wait a minute, Andrea, don't my clients just want me? Aren't I supposed to be doing the case prep? Aren't I the intellect? Why? Why can't you hire someone 10 times smarter than you? Now, you and that person make a bigger impact, and you can see more people because it's not just you. Are you really the only one that can call referrals and clients? I'm going to challenge you. That's the egocentric model that gets you stuck. And some of you can't get over that. The truth is, those clients that I have and those people out there, and you know who they are, they're always on vacation, they have this team, they seem to just see people, they're doing amazing business. They got rid of this egocentric model. They said, if I'm going to scale, I've got to duplicate myself. So the first mistake you're making is that vision. You're thinking like a salesman, like a new guy. We've got to start thinking, I'm building a business. I want to duplicate myself in my team members so I can stop doing that. In fact, here's the challenge. You want to build the business, so you only see people. So let's think like a businessman. And here's the thinking. You have to build 4 pillars. And if you don't build these 4 pillars, your business is going to tumble. So let's look at the first pillar is vision. And this again falls into, what are you building? An egocentric model person thinks, I'm a salesman, I do everything, people assist me. Nope. Our new vision is, I'm building a business that can scale and have a bigger impact. So let's go back and think about this for a second. I started with a dream, and I want you to think, do I dream that way? Do I think I can live in my dream house? In fact, do I even know what that is? Does the dream come first or reality come first? I'm going to say this is dream comes first. So some of you, the mistake you're making is thinking like a salesman and you failed to dream. Think about Walt Disney. In fact, you've never read his book. I want you to get his book and read it. It's just really remarkable. He had a dream of building a theme park where people could come around the world and dreams would come true. It would be magical. But if you look on his path to building that dream, he failed many times. People called him a fool. Dreams are for fools. Anyone hear that? Stop dreaming. Get in reality. We've got to get rid of this, guys. We've got to say, what is my dream? Like Walt Disney, he didn't stop. So for some of you, here's your mistake. You're not dreaming big enough. Remember this, if the dream isn't big enough, when it gets tough, you're going to stop. Let me play a fun exercise with all of you. I love this exercise. Let's pretend that I say to all of you, okay, tonight, get up at 3 a.m, take off your clothes, you're naked, run around your house, run around your building. And if you do that, I'll give you $2. Who's in? You're thinking, she's crazy. I may be crazy, but here's the thing I do know, that probably the vast majority of you, there may always be one, right, is going to say, there's no way I'm going to do that. That's crazy. Okay, let's regroup. Let me reset the challenge. Same challenge. Wake up at 3 a.m, take off your clothes, run around your house, run around your building, and guess what? I'll give you, this is hypothetical, $10 million. Now who's in? I'm guessing you're all, I'm in. It was big enough. Let that land for a second. If your dream isn't big enough, if what you want out of life isn't big enough, you're not going to push it. And this is where we get that persistency. This is where we don't stop. See, some of you are stopping because it's not big enough. Or some of you take your goals and say, oh, someday I'll do that. Big mistake. It's got to be this year. Let me tell you a case study. There's a man that came to me It was about 15 years ago. And he said, you know what? I heard of you. I heard you help people double and triple with business. And guess what? I've been in the business 10 years. I'm broke and I have a family and I need your help. So I started coaching him privately. And after a few weeks, I asked him, you know what? When's the last time you went on vacation? He got so frustrated with me. I didn't hire you to go on vacations. I want to, I want my business to grow. I said, stay with me. When was the last time you went on vacation? And he said to me, I've never been on vacation for 10 years. I'm broke. I said, okay, if you were going to go on vacation, what would be your dream vacation? He goes, oh, I said, just play with me. Where would it be? And he goes, all right, it would be Israel and Egypt. I said, would you take your kids, your family? He says, yes. I said, okay, great. This is what we're going to do today. Go buy airplane tickets. And he goes, oh my goodness, you are out of your mind. So he left the meeting. When he came back a few days later, he said, I'm not going to do that. I said, okay, well, then if you don't, I'm going to fire you. Now, I knew enough psychology to be able to push that button. You don't do that with everyone. So he was like shocked. I said, give you till the afternoon. That afternoon, he called me. He goes, all right, I bought the tickets. This better work. And I want you to think about this. How do you think he felt? Scared? Yep. He invested a lot of money. Excited? Yeah. He finally had something big to look forward to. And this is what happened to his business that year. He tripled his business, tripled it. This is a true story. And the next year we doubled again because we added another why. So one mistake you're making is your dream isn't big enough. And I need you to pull it in this year, not someday. That's part of the vision pillar. Here's another piece to the vision pillar. Tell me what's in it for your staff. If you can't tell me their excitement for this year, why are they going to push harder? They're going to leave it at 5. They get a paycheck. Why not, right? You need to help them dream what's their vision, because if your position working for you will help them live their dream, they're going to go to the ends of the earth with you. And that's what we want. So vision goes into you. Vision goes into what's in it for your team. What's their dream? What do they want? And it also goes for your clients. Share your big vision of what you're building. Share your big vision of how you're helping your clients. When you have a big vision yourself, when you have a big vision for your team, when you have a big vision for your clients, guess what happens? This is when the magic starts happening. This is when you've got a bigger dream, a bigger why for everyone playing the game with you and your clients. This is when magic really starts happening. Okay. The second mistake is not hiring an A team. I'm going to make this real simple for all of you. You cannot have an A team with B players. Just let that land for a second. You're like, what's an A player? Well, if you're asking that question, there's the first problem. If you can't define an A player, how can you hire them? You see, first thing I'm going to say to you, and I wrote this in my first book that I wrote about 15 years ago. The first mistake many of you are making is you are hiring assistants. So let's get rid of that word. Let's just nuke it. We don't want to hire assistants. Why not? You're saying, I don't like that word. I don't like the definition. I don't like anyone that I work with give that. Why? By definition, an assistant assists you. Is that what you want? No. What do you want your team to do? Think about this. You want them to run the business so you can just see people, right? Well, when you hire assistants, by definition, they assist you, which assumes what? You're leading them. And if you're leading everything in the business, you cannot just see people. They're always going to come to you. If you're leading everything in the business, you can't take a month vacation. Now, let me tell you a true story to this and how this will impact you. About 5 years ago, I met this young advisor who heard me give a presentation, came up and said, you know what, I think I'm good. I'm making around 250,000, I have a young family, my wife works, and, she's a very successful attorney. Everything's great. And I said, well, let me ask the question. I said, if you could build this, because I asked what he wanted, he really loved to travel. I said, what if you could build this and take a month off at the time of travel? What if you could walk in every day and all your meetings are all scheduled? You didn't do it. What if you could walk in every day and your case prep's done and you didn't do it? And all of a sudden he goes, can I do that? I said, absolutely. But we have to rethink what we're building here. He said, I'm in. He got so excited. I'm all in. Okay. So about 5 years ago, his total revenue, when he had one team member, was around 250,000. Last year, his total revenue was 1.4 million. This year, his revenue will be around 1.8 million. And here's what's magical. He walks in every Monday, his meetings are all scheduled. He's not leading it, he's not doing it. He walks in every Monday, all his case prep is done. He's not doing it, his team is doing it. So what did I do with him? I helped him revision, right, what he was building. I helped him this year say, what if you could build it and take a month off? That excited him, right? That was like the why. And then here's the next piece. And so I'm going to show you the next magical piece to this when it comes to building an A team is this chart. I said, the biggest mistake people make is they hire people to assist either their staff, right, or them. Remember, we don't want that. So here's what I did. I said to him, okay, this is you. So I put his name up here. Here's his team member. And she was overwhelmed. So she wanted someone to assist you. I said, no, we've got to build this. So here's what you want to do. In his responsibility area, remember, we want to build it so all you're doing is seeing people and getting referrals. That's your job. So I said, whatever responsibilities you have in this column, we've got to put in the new hire column. Right? So the thing we decided to take out of this column was to schedule appointments with referrals and existing clients. Now, a staff member said, I'll be overwhelmed. I said, well, when we do that, we'll build to scale. If we don't do this, I said, he won't be able to build with scale. So I, spoke her off and then said, come off the ledge, let's do this. And we hired a third person that was brilliant, licensed, smart, motivated, want a future, understood the game, was able to fill the calendar, understood the game, was able to do case prep. Think about this. What did that take away from him? 2 responsibilities, case prep over here. He then also was able to help with some administrative tasks that his key right-hand person was doing, and this team just took off. Are you getting this? If you hire people to assist you, you cannot scale. If you hire people to assist you, all those problems, you still have to do all the case prep. You still have to answer complicated questions. All those stay in your responsibility. So the truth is, the bigger you get, the more you get overwhelmed. Now, note one other thing. This is gold, by the way. This chart right here is gold. I don't believe in a corporate hierarchy chart, which means that if you're just seeing people, you want your team to run the office and their leadership roles. They're leading it, not you. All leadership roles aren't here. They're on the various team members. Now I'm going to go back. Remember when I was saying to you, I had a nationally rated track team? Let me tell you the story about that. Makes me sound pretty cool. But here's what I learned through Olympic and world class coaches. When I inherited a track team of 165 girls, who can coach 165 high school girls? No one. It's like herding cats. So I thought, how am I going to do this? And I wasn't brilliant in all areas of track. So I thought, what am I going to do? Hire 4 assistant coaches, 10 times smarter than me in their various areas. So I broke my team up into the various areas, hired 4 assistant coaches. One was a sprinting coach, one was a hurdle coach, in 4 different areas smarter than me. That was where I was brilliant. I didn't know it all. They were leading their areas. I was the visionary on top. We ended up having national rated track team, so much fun. But it all didn't land on my shoulders because I couldn't do it myself. The truth is, you can't do it by yourself. And some of you are trying. You're trying because that's how you came in the business. No one said to you, you're a new rep or advisor, this is what you have to learn. But if you want to scale and have a life and make a bigger impact, you now have to build a business. And then when no one ever taught you, okay, who's an A player? How do you build this? How do you scale this? You getting it? Okay. So this goes into the next piece. Well, once I define who do I want, how do I hire? So understand this, that everything I've built, I've been in the trenches with my clients and their staff. Because remember, staff is part of the team. It's just not the advisor. The staff is running the business. So what I created was a hiring system. And why I did this was as follows. When my private clients hired the wrong people, I said, well, how could we have avoided that? And I kept adding pieces to a hiring system. So for example, I'm going to tell you one kind of dirty little secret that no one talks about when you're hiring people. You need to do a writing test. You're like, Andrea, a writing test? Why a writing test? There's a lot of people in our today's world that can't write. This is my experience with my clients. They hire someone and you're saying, well, wait a minute, what do you mean write? Emails you have to write to clients, right? They can't write. So give people a writing test. No, they can spell and they can write. I have one team that had hired a brilliant, she was CFP woman. She couldn't spell, she couldn't write. So what they ended up having to do, someone had to read all her emails and write her emails. It was a nightmare. Now, there's many pieces. We can't go through this system. I spent 2 hours on the hiring system alone to making sure why we want those A players. But I'm going to give you a gift. You can go to andreabullard.com/free. And I'm going to, as a gift, give you this hiring system at a high level. And even if you're thinking, well, I'm not hiring today, please get it. Because if you're growing, you're going to end up hiring. And I want you to have this. There's many details to this. There's many pieces to this that are going to help you avoid hiring the wrong people or hiring the people that don't have the right skills. Okay, and this all goes into getting an A player. Let me talk about another piece that no one thinks about. When you have this A player, how do you onboard them? Now, this is a very overlooked piece by advisors. Like, okay, I've got that A person on board and they say, you're going to start on this start date and we're good to go, right? Anticlimactic. You're building a team that you want to run your business, that you want to be high performing, right? I want you to have an onboarding system that someone else is managing. Now, if it's just you and your first person, you have to have this onboarding system. Why? You know what I've experienced? A lot of staff start, number one, and they can't even enter their computer. Okay? Or they end up at a desk. I know we're in Zoom, but all a mess and things are from the prior person. They're not meeting with the other team members. And why would I do that? Because we're a team, camaraderie, energy. And you have to be there. If you pull yourself and say, I don't need to be this, is just my team, you pull yourself away from the team. You become that egocentric leader. We want to stay away from that. That will never serve you. People will never, if you don't care about them, they're not going to care about you. So what you want to do is onboard them, have a party when they come on board. And then the next thing you want to do when they come on board, you want to have a training program for them. Now, I've written a whole training system because I realize that people don't know how to train. You should have a 6-month training program. This is what you're going to learn. Every month they walk in, they say at the end of this month, you should know this. And every day they walk in with a daily training program all dialed in. Now that's a business. And that makes you and your lead team look high performing, first class. That makes A players want to join you. You getting this? You're the leader. Next, growth plan. Smart, motivated people don't stay in dead-end jobs. So I'm going to challenge you. Do you know this coming year, your plan for each person in your team to grow? You should. Because if you don't, you can be blindsided by them saying, I took a different job because there's more growth opportunity. So my philosophy is, why should you write that? So what I've written is a growth plan that you give to each of your team members. They write their own plan and then they share it with you. Doesn't that make sense? And you can talk about how you want them to grow, licensing, courses, whatever you want them to learn, how they're going to add value to the team, how they're going to become thinkers. Why do you want them to become thinkers? Because they're leading the business, right? And then what you do mid-year, end of the year, you meet with them and go over their growth plan. Say, how are we doing on this? Did you pass this licensing? Did you take that course? Now your team members are growing in addition to you growing. In the egocentric model, always the advisor takes the courses, the advisor has the coaching, but the team members don't have anything. That means everything's intellectually spoon-fed from the advisor down. That's that egocentric model we have to get away from. Okay. Here's the third tragic mistake. You must build what I'm calling a system-dependent business. You see, the biggest mistake some of you are making is that you may hire great people and you're saying, yeah, you don't have to worry. They're running my business, but you have no idea how they're doing that. Now, you may be thinking like a client of mine a few years ago was thinking. He said, Andrea, you know, this system thing, my staff does everything. She's phenomenal. In fact, she's 55. She's never been married. It's like business is almost like her husband. I said, you still need systems manual. He says, I'm just not worried. Remember, it was this time of year, I get a voicemail from him. And he said, was panicked. You have to call me. I called him back and I said, is everything okay? He said, no. I said, what happened? He goes, guess what happened? She died in her sleep. It's a true story. His director of operations died in her sleep. That next year, my client, his business plummeted. Yeah, just plummeted. Why? He didn't know how anything was done. He didn't know where to find documents. He didn't know anything. And she documented nothing. She did everything for them. I'm going to beg you not to let that happen to you. Don't. So what you want is systems for everything that you do. And you want these systems written out, put into a systems manual. Now, when I say written out, I'm going to say I've helped teams create amazing systems and manual videos, hyperlinks to instructions, et cetera, et cetera. Why would you do that? First of all, if someone dies, hopefully they won't, or if they leave you for whatever reason, you know exactly how they did things. Because they can come in, there's the training. You don't have to train. It's time and it's duplication. Here's another reason why you want the systems manual written. You know, I've been working in the trenches with team members, and I can tell you what, many of them have brilliant ideas, but you have no idea what they're doing, right? You know that. So what I've done is capture what's their brilliance, and we capture that now can be duplicated for the next person that takes over their role. So here's what I've done. I know you advisors are sitting out thinking, Andrea, there is no way I'm going to write systems. And the one thing, by the way, I don't recommend you do, you're saying, oh, my systems will write these. My staff will write it. No, they won't. They won't. They don't have time to do it. Equally important, do they have the brain for the systems? So here's what I've done. For the past 20 years, I've been in the trenches with team members, and I've written 34 systems. And they continue to evolve. Technology, before I had executive logs, now technology takes that over. So technology will take over and morph how you're doing systems. So systems continually morph and grow. So here's the thing, you don't have to figure this out. You don't have to figure out the hiring system. You don't have to figure out how to train. You don't have to figure out the referral system. All this stuff has been dialed in. You don't have to do it, but you do need all these written. You do need this for your business. If you don't, it's going to be very difficult to scale. And if you don't have systems written, why a lot of you are delegating? Because you don't have systems. You have to tell them how it gets done. And then why a lot of you aren't sleeping at nights? Because you don't have a system for it. You wake up at 3 a.m. and go, oh, I wonder if that money got invested. No system for it. And a lot of you, by the way, are having email system, meaning you get it done, you email everyone. The bigger you get, I don't want to read 200 emails every day to make sure stuff got done. That's not a system. You getting my point? Okay, so let's go to the very beginning of system. I created what I call a case note template. So I'm going to ask you, do you have a system for this? And I'll tell you why I created this. One of the biggest problems with any business, but with this business in particular, is how information is shared. So let's go back to the very beginning when you see a prospect after a meeting, or if it's a client review meeting or any meeting, what happened in that meeting? How does the information flow from you to the team? And what happens A, B, C, D? And by listening to staff, here's what they'd say to me. They go, you know what? I get this document and it's sort of like a whole puzzle. I have to read through it and try to figure out what happened. And then in there, try and figure out what they want me to do next. All confusing, takes me hours to do this. So I created a case note template. Now I'm going to just show you some quick points about this. So for example, step one, note this is powerful. When you're done with every meeting, you're going to say the following. And by the way, you should all be dictating this. You shouldn't be writing this. They should instantly get it at the end of every meeting. You're going to say, I just met with client or prospect John Doe. I opened a case for approximately 10,000 premium, and he is going to give me 5 million of AUM. He is an A prospect, and the date of next appointment is January 7th at 9 a.m. Cut. Now, let me tell you the golden here. Number one, it lets the whole team know that you opened a case. The person that's going to case prep and let everyone know when we go on a case management view, it's approximate of how much premium, how much AUM we're talking about. Okay, so they know that. Now here's the brilliance. Notice I said he is an A prospect. So what you're doing, you are segmenting prospects. Now you're saying, why would I do that, Andrea? Here's why. You all know today, if you create up in your CRM, all the prospects for you to call. Remember, I was in Chicago several years ago, and this he was just a top performer, a list of paper like this, and he threw it on the desk. I said, what do I do this? I looked down, I said, what is this? It was thousands of prospect names that were in a CRM that he was supposed to call today. He said, where do I start? I said, oh my goodness, he was high activity. This is crazy. So why not segment your prospects? So today you're calling the A prospects first. Doesn't that make sense? If you see a client, here's what you're going to do at the end of the meeting. If it's a review meeting, you're going to say, he's still an A client. Or if you use a B client, say, oh, he's now an A client. So what you're doing, instead of stopping your business, taking the long list and having to go through and resegment after every meeting, you're resegmenting. So segmentation with prospects and clients goes on right in this case note template. You get that? I hope that's an aha for some of you. Now, notice the second part, brain dump of the case. And the third part is where, by the way, brain dump is what happened, details. That's all that goes in that. And then you say the word cut, which means you're at the end of that section. And then instructions to every team member. John, I need you to do this, A, B, C, D. Mary, I need you to do this, A, B, C, D. This case note template alone is going to save you thousands of hours of confusion and time. This case note template is done by you. And if you get lead advisors or anyone on your team that are seeing clients and or prospects in addition to you, they use the same case note template. So it's a system from after the meeting to your team. That's the same with absolutely incredible information that the team processes it. You get it? Now, I can go over the rest of it, but we don't have hours to do this. But here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to give you another gift. You want this case note template? It's yours. Go to AndreaBullard.com/. Why am I giving this to you? Because I really believe, again, go back to my heart in this. I want you to make a bigger impact. I know somewhere there's an 18-year-old girl that I don't want her to have to go through what I went through. So let's make that impact. And you can make more impact if you just see people, right? Okay. The referral system, is your system dialed in? to the language used on the phone to leave a voicemail message, to how many times to call for a year, the thank you cards done, to how many times do you follow up? 7 times, 10 times? When does the person come out of the system? And the key thing, who else on your team can contact these referrals? All should be dialed into a system written out in detail. The experience, this is critical. Once someone becomes a new client, do they meet with you and your team? Do you explain and educate them how many times a year? Do you explain who does what? And do you have a value beyond the plan, what you give them? This is how we create raving fans. And this is in a system, what I call the new client onboarding system. Okay. We could go on systems. Every system I spend hours training it, making sure the team can execute it, making sure the system goes from A to B to C to D, get it in the training manual. And once it starts working, it allows you to do what? Just see people, allows your team to do what? Run the business through systems and lead your business. Now, I said at the beginning that I would talk in the end about the one thing that will really blow everything up. So once I started writing the vision, the A team members, and the systems, those 3 pillars, I thought I have it, but I realized there was a 4th pillar, and that was leadership. Leadership is key. I can give you an A team, we can have systems dialed in, you can have a big why, but here's the thing. If you don't learn how to lead this team, everything will fall apart. You'll be in the hiring, training, and firing business. You won't have team members that take ownership. You'll be leading everything. You'll have to think about everything. No one's going to take ownership. Even if you go away, people will be calling you. Some of you are already experiencing that, and you don't understand why. It's because you need to understand, who am I as a leader? So I'm going to play for you Braveheart. This is like one of my favorite scenes, and I want you to listen. These are the people. This is like your team members, the difference in leadership. Okay. Okay, it looks like technology is not wanting to work for me today. Let's try it one more time and see if I can get this to work. All right, apologize for this. I guess the technology world isn't in my favor. Okay, so let me just explain this scene. And maybe some of you, I'm sure many of you have seen the movie Braveheart. And these are the people that are going to fight. And these 2 guys look at each other and they go, why am I going to stay here? Because the landlords come in and say, stay and fight for us and save the lands. And they look at each other and they go, I'm not going to die for them. What's in it for me? Nothing's in it for me. And then comes Braveheart, William Wallace. And he comes in on his horse to all these people and he says, you may die, you may fight, and you may die. But here's your choice. Would you rather, fight with the possibility of having freedom? In other words, what William Wallace came in, he said, is it worth to fight here so you can have freedom? From this day on and every day forward. So William Wallace was a brilliant leader. He taught them what's in it for them. Why should they fight? It wasn't about William Wallace. It was about them. Now, what does this have to do with you? Everything. Again, I've been working with advisors and their teams for many, many years. And I can't tell you how many times people will say to me, I don't even think he cares about me. And I'll tell you one story that has never in my life left me. I was down in Florida and I was working for a team. And this woman was a little bit rough, but she'd been in the business for a long time. And as I worked with her, I realized she was really smart and really good at what she did. So I took this whole team and sat them down and I said, okay, you tell me from your position, I want your opinions, what do you think we should do here? Because that's what I always do. I want, they're in the seats, I want their ideas. And I turned to her and I said, obviously you've been doing this a long time. What are your thoughts? And she looks up at me and she starts crying. And I felt bad. I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't want to upset you. I said, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't insult you. And she goes, no. And she finally kind of, stopped crying. And she looked at me and she goes, you know what? She said, I've been working for this company for 15 years. You are the first person who has ever asked my opinion. So let me go back to you. Have you asked their opinion? Is it about you hitting the goals or is it about the team's goals and what it's in it for them? This goes back to that vision. Why are they with you? And this is where you have to say, yeah, but I worked hard and I get you've worked hard and you risked everything. I get that. But if you want someone to take ownership of the business, what's in it for them? You're missing that piece. And let them know you care. Say hi to them. Ask them about the kids. I remember one of the team members saying to me, I don't think she even knows who my kids, if I even have kids. You see, there's no relationship there. That leader's saying, I paid them, they do their tasks, they get food and shelter, so they're good. No. That doesn't inspire people. You've got to become a great leader to make this thing fly for you. You've got to have a great leader. For you to live your dream, they've got to live their dream. You've got to care. So what I created was what I call the Bullard game plan. And we don't have enough time to go through this, but in the Bullard game plan, I defined winning the same for the team and for the advisors. But because when I went around and worked with teams, I'd say to the advisor, define success for me. And they'd say, when I hit my goals. Then I'd say to the team members, define success for me. And they'd say, at the end of the day, when I finish my tasks. Do you hear the disconnect? They're playing a different game. So I've created a game plan, which we play the same game. And I've let all the team members know how they play in the role of success for the advisor. And this is critical that you understand this. Because if you don't understand this, you go back to that egocentric model. It's really about me. And you're saying, yeah, but I'm the one that gets the client. They want me. Do they? If your staff is rude to them, if your staff doesn't give them good service, watch how fast they leave you. And can we take that experience and get it up to the next level so your clients and prospects feel this whole team is amazing. They all treat me amazing. Everyone plays in the game. That's great leadership. That gets buy-in. That allows you to go away for a month because your team cares, because there's something in it for them. Are you getting all this? This is really important piece to get. And this is no judgment for any of you. I think this is all learning about how do you build a team. This goes back to, no, you're not that solo advisor. This is about building this team. I believe the team of the future is going to be a prospecting concierge team because I think technology is going to take over underwriting, money, motion. Actually, computers are smarter than you to do case prep. So you're also going to have to pivot and say, what's my future team look like? Okay, so, a lot of information. Kind of let this settle with you. I don't want anyone here to live with any regrets. I think the worst regret anyone can have, if you wake up one day and realize that you had the talent, but you didn't succeed because you stopped, or you didn't succeed because you still felt like that egocentric model, doing everything yourself. My wish for all of you is that you decide you can live that dream. You can build a business where you just see people. You now have the formula for how to do it. You don't want to live with any regrets. So let me tell you what I'm doing to help more people. I've had private coaching And I've decided this coming year in January, I'm going to be offering a new program. And this is what I'm calling the Platinum Turnkey Mastermind. It's designed for you, advisor, and your team. Because remember my philosophy, I never coach just the advisor, I coach the team. Why? The team is running the systems. They have to learn the systems, and we're all playing this game together. Now, this is how this program works. It's a year-long program, and I'm making sure that those people, so if you're entertaining this, here's kind of the profile I'm looking for, that you're positive, you're collaborative, you want to be part of a group. You're very serious about growth and you're hungry for more. You're willing to invest time, right? Got to invest time, and you're willing to invest money to grow your business. You want to be held accountable. So those of you that have no accountability, and I don't even know what numbers formula to achieve the goals, we're going to help you with all that. You want coaching, we're going to help you all that. You want peer coaching, that's involved with this. I'm going to train you and your business and your team on all the systems. You're going to get repeatable systems. You don't have to create this. I'll be coaching your team how to become leaders. I'll be looking at what I call the blind spots of you as a leader. This is a program that I did many years ago. It's created some of the top teams in the country. I said, let's do it again. So if you're interested, I want you to go to AndreaBullard.com and schedule a time to speak with me. This starts in January. I've already got people that have already joined. So if you're interested, I'd love to speak with you and see if this is right for you. Now, let me tell you some other things we're doing this. There's leadership training in this. I'm going to teach you and your team how to create a raving fans experience program. Seminar training, those of you, anyone that wants to do seminars, we're going to dial in how to do that. I've created a 5-diamond family protection that's added value. Women are going crazy over this. Referral skills system, we're going to get that dialed in. Center of influence system, we're going to get that dialed in. Here's some other bonuses you're going to get. You're going to get with this, my new book, The Turnkey Secrets, which just became an international bestseller in 5 countries. You're going to get all turnkey systems. You're going to get my referral thinking maps and market research kits. You're going to get that growth program we talked about for your staff and a vision book. This is all dialed in. The coaching will be for you and your team. And I think that is critical. So if you're interested in this, I want you to go to AndreaBullard.com. You're going to see in the right-hand corner, schedule a time to speak with me, and let's see if this is the program for you. 90% of my private clients last year had their best year ever. And what's exciting, it's not just them, their team members are growing like crazy. Licensing. Let me tell you another story of a man that joined and started coaching underneath me. This was a director of ops. It was just he and his advisor, and he came to Boston for some training. And I remember at the end of this training, he said, you know, I think I'm going to quit. I said, quit? Wait, hold it. What happened? He said, yeah, I'm overworked and I don't see a future in this. I said, okay, first thing, you need to go back to your advisor and tell him you're thinking about quitting. So we need to hire someone else, because don't stay silent if you want to grow. Learn to be a leader, speak up. So he did just that day. His advisor thanks me to this day that I saved him. Let's fast forward where they are today. They have about 8 people on their team. But here's the thing I want you to know. This young man who was an associate last year brought in, ready for this, 20 million of AUM himself. We've now replaced him as director of ops. He's offensive. He's a visionary. He's brilliant at running this business. You may have that person on your team, but not see it. I help create some of the best staff in the industry. I see their brilliance. I help them grow. Sometimes I put them in different positions, but I'm going to be the coach helping you. In this program, peers, team members have peers. It's a wonderful environment for growing. I would love to have you grow. But here's what stops people. You think, you know what? I'm too busy. I don't have the time. I'll do it somewhere in the future. You all have heard top people on stage say, I wish I'd hired sooner, quicker. If you're thinking that way, stop and say, if I want to live this dream, let's live it now. Let's see somebody thinking, I don't know if I have the money. You know what? Time is money. The more you struggle trying to do this, create systems, team through trial and error, I've seen people get lost and exhausted and tired with that. Don't do that. If you're thinking, you know what? I've tried to build, it's exhausting, I'm giving up. No, you probably tried to do it by yourself. You had no guidance. Get back in the game and say, that dream's not dead. Maybe some of you think, oh, I'll wait a year, I'm too busy now. You're always going to be too busy. So I'm saying the time is now. Schedule a time to speak with me. Let me determine if you're right for this program. If you're not, I'm going to tell you, because not everyone's going to get into this program because it may not be right for you, but let's at least have a conversation about it. Okay. I want to thank all of you for joining me today, because my mission, as I said, is to help you build the business of your dreams. It is absolutely possible and absolutely doable. But now you know the 3 tragic mistakes you can make to building it. And now you know the importance of leadership. And now you know that you have someone, myself, who can be a guide, who can coach you to help you live your dream. It would be my honor to help all of you. So on that note, thank you so much. I'm here for you, and nothing would make me happier. It's my mission to help all of you grow. All right, thank you. We'll see you at the top. Bye-bye.